The December 19th, 2016 Economic Development Committee to order. The only item on the agenda tonight is the redevelopment of the former Old Town Canoe Factory. Economic Development Director Ron Harriman and members of the LLC will present the final concept plan for the redevelopment of the former Old Town Canoe Factory site. Ron Harriman, Tim Folster are here tonight. Gentlemen, make sure you talk just we get in the mic.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We felt that it was important to have a plan for redeveloping this site right in the heart of downtown. We think it has a lot of potential, and the LLC, a subcommittee of the LLC, has been working with an engineer from Sewell to come up with a plan that takes into consideration the entire parcel. We felt that if we didn't have an overall plan, then it could limit the city's ability to develop the overall site. In other words, if we have an individual business that approaches a city and we place that business somewhere on the property without any thought to how the rest would be developed, then it could compromise what we're able to derive out of the property. So, as I say, we spent quite some time. Tim, you can.
We had several meetings to try to come up with the best plan. The good thing about the site is utilities are available on all three sides of the site. The plan that we currently have puts a road approximately through the middle of the site from Main Street to Brunswick Street. There is some landscaping esplanade on the Main Street side. That would be the gateway into the site.
So that's the main road going in right there?
Yes.
We have approximately 100 feet of frontage on Main Street.
Right, okay.
It's a very economical design. It's the shortest way through the site. It has one small curve through it. And mentioned before that right now we believe all the sites for development can be serviced from utilities from Brunswick Middle Street.
Okay.
We have some cost estimates for the road, Ron?
So as Tim mentioned, the road shown on the plan runs all the way from Main Street through to Brunswick Street. It's unknown whether or not that entire road would ever need to be built. I think in all likelihood a road would be built halfway in to service these buildings. Could perhaps even have a cul-de-sac at some point, but probably could serve a major retail establishment here and provide access over in this direction. So the cost for a half road would be $267,000 according to the engineer. And we trimmed that cost considerably because we don't envision the need for major utilities on that road because, as was mentioned, we're fortunate that we have utilities available, sewer, water, three-phase on all three streets.
Three streets. So you said you don't envision that going all the way through to Brunswick?
Well, it's possible.
If enough people jump in on, is what you're
Right.
saying.
So we asked the engineer to cost it out halfway and the entire road. The entire road was estimated at $483,000.
Okay.
And it's nothing we have to do now. I mean, it would be dependent on us finding somebody that wants to develop the land.
Right.
We feel the road is important to develop the lot next to the fire station. We want that serviced off the new road from Main Street, not off Middle Street. This plan also leaves the northern part of the site on Brunswick Street for residential or apartment construction.
On Brunswick Street side,
So
those two over there?
We lean toward residential use in this section and retail commercial on this side.
Okay.
But it's not going to stop if somebody wanted to come in and develop on both sides of that where the two squares are by Brunswick Street. It wouldn't, if they wanted to do that, we're not going to limit that, are we?
correct.
If Trader Joe's calls
Hey,
tomorrow,
let's do it.
We'll take the call.
Dave, I'm sorry, go ahead.
One other question, and I know this is probably out in the future a ways, but when we're looking at the fire and the police station there, if there is a need to expand, there's enough room around to be able to do that. Is that correct?
Well, there's nothing here that's cast in stone. This is just a likely scenario. We did dedicate this
Oh,
land
across the
on
way.
side of the road for public safety.
Oh, okay.
We did consult with them about what they would like to have for space, and we tried to accommodate that in this plan.
Oh, and I'm thinking too, depending who goes there, they might not want to look to the back side of the police or fire station, maybe put some shrubs or something like that,
Landscaping.
depending who goes there.
Yeah.
Not saying your building doesn't look good, Scott and Steve, but I'm just saying the back side of it.
That's it.
So we're seeing some signs of encouragement downtown, so I remain optimistic that, this is going to be an attractive site. And I think now that we have a plan, that can work, we'll know, how to site, prospective businesses on the property.
So as businesses come to you, you'll just show them this and say, these are your thoughts.
But are we going to send this to any magazines or publications of some type that we have this available? I mean, as a...
We haven't talked about actually, sending it out. I mean, it will help us market the property. So, as far as who to target with this scenario, we haven't.
Are there trade magazines, publications that sometimes are, like we get one every month, but that's probably not
Oh, the
main.
Townsman.
Townsman, yeah.
yeah.
I'm just thinking that a lot of times if people have something in their mind, if they see a picture of something, oh, that's a good place to be.
I mean, is that something we could put on the website?
Oh, that's, yeah.
I think we should.
Yeah, I do too.
Dave, have you seen this? I'm assuming you have.
Dave's had some involvement in the discussions.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're all set with the way it's for code and everything.
This also provides a potential entrance out of the credit union onto this road. You can see the white spur that goes to the credit union.
I guess I can't see that.
Right there.
Oh, okay.
Well,
They're
that would be
talking about potentially expanding, and if they do that, they need another entrance out of their parking lot, so.
Would they be going backward to the back, or are they coming over this way?
They could be coming out and down to Main Street.
Out and down to Main Street. Okay.
It's good.
Again, this is just a conceptual plan, but
Right.
at least we have something now
At
on
least
paper.
you have something
that
exactly.
shows what we would like to see there. It all depends on what we have for
What comes
people
in,
that
but it's
interested.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that's great.
It's a good start.
And I'm assuming the whole LLC committee has seen this?
Yes?
They have. Yeah. We just felt it was important to be proactive. We don't want to just not do anything with the site and start to begin to have these conversations when we have somebody actively looking.
Right.
That will set us back and take up valuable time.
Always good to have a vision.
I think so.
We
When I-
wanted the council to know what we were thinking for the site. If there was any differences, we should talk about them.
And I think if we can get that on the website, both the LLC and the city one, I think that would be good. So if people are looking, they can get all of it. Let's see, who's on this committee? We got Jan and John. Any questions from the committee? Any questions from anybody else? Nope. Guys, thank you very much. Did a very nice
you.
job. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The windows look good downtown, the paint.
Haven't
Oh,
seen them
yes,
in
the
the daylight
painting,
yet.
yes. Okay, there is nothing else, so could I get a motion to adjourn? John, is there a second?
Second.
And all those in favor? None opposed. Okay, pass that over to Stan. I think he's the next one.
I'd like to open the meeting of the Finance Committee. First up on our agenda is his need to cover the cost of the 2016 Old Town Mill Appraisal. Because there are no funds available in the budget this year, $19,040 will need to come from account 03800. Fund balance and transfers from account 1500 0299, assessors and other contracted services to pay MRV Appraisal Company. Travis?
Yes. This is necessary because the state law requires that we have a current appraisal done in order to file for a sudden and severe loss disruption evaluation. We filed for that this year. Matter of fact, Bill and I are meeting with a representative from the state tomorrow to go over the documents for that, so it's timely filed. And it's required in the law. We have to have a current appraisal on the mill. There was economy to this because this is a company that did the 14 and 15 appraisals for us, so they had the background already. So
So they're appraising it as it sits today,
April 1st of 16,
which is basically as it sits today,
yes.
give or take a little bit here or there. But
Yep.
does that mean we'd use this for basis for taxes for April 17?
It would play into it, but it depends on what, if anything, happens between now and then, yeah. It'd be a strong basis for it.
I don't see anything changing between now and April 1st. Just curious. I mean, that's something I guess we might have to give up to make something happen or whatever, but at least we'd have a number that would be good for that.
Correct. We'd have something to base it off, for
We'd have
sure.
some facts to base it
Yes.
on, instead of just pulling the number out of the air.
Yep.
Other comments?
Oh, I agree. Needs to be done. Is it, it's not on
So we
tonight's
need a
agenda,
motion to
though.
move it forward to the council?
It's what?
It's not on tonight's agenda,
I don't think
is
it's
it?
on.
No,
tonight's-
it's not, no.
I make a motion to move this item to the full council for approval.
Second?
Any further discussion?
I'll second.
You're on the committee, you two are on the committee.
Oh,
Yep. All those in favor? Next on the agenda, Public Works Director John Rulo will inform the committee of an MPI grant that is now available for the total amount of $375,384.
He's not
He is
here.
not here. John had to leave work today. It's that time of year for flu season, and him, I'm afraid he's struck with that. In the packet, you see the letter that John included for tonight's meeting. Basically, that MPI grants, Municipal Partnership Initiative Grant, that wouldn't be for this coming year. That would be for the 2018 fiscal year with the state. So it wouldn't fund until the following year, not this July 1st, next July 1st. There's currently $4 million available in that fund by the state. Anybody can apply for that, so they're all competitive. Basically, the state looks at that. They cap all those at $500,000 projects, which they'll fund up to that much, but that's as high as they'll go. If it was $1 million project, they'd fund half of it at $500,000. Needs to be a 10-year life on whatever project they're doing, and it needs to be a road that's been requested in the past by the community, which John has requested work on this section of road. And if you look, you'll see how he broke that down. And he tried to break it down into 3 different sections on that letter. And there's a possibility we could get all 3 of those sections in there, which the total request would be $375,000. The state would fund half of that.
I'll say that's not,
300.
right, we'd only be half of that.
The
Yeah.
state would fund half of that.
Right.
So we don't really know where that will be. What we'd do is come back in January. We may not get any of this funding, we don't know. But we'd have to come back in January, back to the council to request that funding to match for the 2018 year.
So, I just had a couple questions. How bad are these? I mean, I know some are fairly bad, but are they in bad enough shape that they need to be done in 2 years?
Main Street out here? Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty bad.
No, I want to
No.
ask the question.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's gotten to the point, and that's the biggest concern out here, is if you go out and look at the curbs, our curbs now are like 1.5 inches high because that whole section needs to be ground
Needs to be
down.
grounded down.
to
Okay.
reclaim that curb area.
And this is not next year's, it's the following year's budget, and we'd only get, only have to fund half of it, and we're not even sure if we'll even get any of it.
We may not.
Okay.
I mean, he's put in for this, you know, we've made the request to them. We'll find out in January. We'd have to come back, probably in the second meeting. We should find out early and dedicate those funds to that.
I can't, Main Street from Fourth to Compact Line.
Yep.
I
So
don't,
that would be all the way out, basically, just, that's about out to Labreeze Bakery. Compact line
okay,
ends
so
right
it's,
there.
it's,
So it,
because I couldn't make Fourth Street connect with Main Street.
so it, yeah, so he's
Yeah.
basically,
Okay.
it would be paving right from the lights here, just
Oh.
up to about Labreeze Bakery, if we got all three sections of
Yeah,
that
okay.
road.
If we got all three.
So will they come and assess them and say, this ranks in here, this ranks in here, and
Yep, he's actually been here and looked at that. Anytime you put in an application like that, they'll actually come and look at the road. But you're going into basically a bid process with anybody else who's applying for this grant too. But we know we're gonna have to do that. I mean, the road's getting bad in the next couple of years, and we figured, you know, if you got an opportunity to get it half funded by the state, you should try to at least take advantage of that to do it.
Absolutely, and I think that was why I only had that one question, like, does it all need to be done in the next 2 years all the way up through? And it sounds like it does, and if we can get half the funding taken care of, it makes sense.
Yeah.
if we commit to it and have no money, can we get out of it? And now you're looking for us to commit right now?
Well, I'd wanna move this forward, but I'm not asking you to commit quite
Not
yet.
We gotta move this forward to the next meeting.
But
For the
is
city
it-
council meeting, but
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
we're committing right now if we
But,
send it
yeah.
to that meeting.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Well, you won't commit to, first of all, till we find out if we even have, you know, I don't know if we'll get all three of these, or one of these, or two of these. I really don't. I
My-
don't know.
My thing is, and I've asked you twice, and you've told me both times that it's gonna have to be done.
Yep.
We're gonna have to do the road in 2 years, so if this is a way of us getting half the funds taken care of.
Happens to be a state aid road where they'll contribute to it.
Right.
So this is the one that we have to get help from the state with, so.
Right. So, I mean, if it's gotta be done over the next 2 years, and we can get it, half of it, taken care of, I'm not sure
Or,
why.
you know, there's a bunch of other communities that will and have applied, so I don't
Right.
know.
We might not get
I
anything,
might
not
not get
sure.
anything.
Yeah.
and it's, once again, it's not in this next year's, it's the year after.
So if I go back to my question, if we tentatively approve this, and we have no money, when they make their decision, can we get out of it?
I'll ask them that. I don't know that.
Can we know that before the next
Oh,
meeting?
Yeah.
I wouldn't see why we
Because
couldn't
if
get
nothing
out of it.
happens down to the mill,
I
we're
don't
gonna be
see why we
broke.
couldn't get
That's
out of
right.
it. They take it back and give it to somebody else.
Right.
in my opinion, but
We will, but you won't stop paving roads, I'll guarantee you.
I hope not.
Well, that's, I mean, exactly. That's what I'm looking at. It's gotta be done.
But it's gonna
I
come to,
will.
it's gonna come to a point where you're
I'll
gonna do this or that. You
Yep.
have to.
Yep.
Do we have a motion? Or any further discussion, I guess?
I'll make a motion to move this item to the full council.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Next item on the agenda, traffic lights. Police Chief Scott Wilcox will update the committee on the cost of upgrading the traffic lights on Stillwater Avenue.
So as promised, I told you I'd come back with where we're kind of at and what we're looking at for our traffic issues. If you remember, one of the major complaints was traffic around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, trying to move traffic through from College Avenue out through the interstate. Seems to be bottlenecked up, and you can pile you back up to the Methodist Church on Stillwater Avenue. So just to kind of do a recap before I move forward, Bennett Road intersection has no detection there at all. So what I've learned in the last 3 or 4 months is, without detection, you fall back onto what your programming is, and you can only do so much to move traffic through an intersection with programming and how the lights alternate from which leg of the intersection traffic's coming from. with detection, it allows you to run more efficient and more effective because it picks up on where cars are, how soon they're coming to the intersection. If there's nobody at the other side of the intersection, then it allows more cars to go through. So Bennett Road has 0 detection right now.
So this is the one on the back sheet, the back of your sheet that you're talking about? Bennett Road?
Stillwater and Bennett Avenue, Bennett Road, yeah.
Road detection.
So, and please note that some of these numbers that I put out there they're very rough. Okay, these are what we've gotten from John Sear, who works for the city of Bangor. John does all of our maintenance currently on our traffic lights in town to help us repair them back to where they kind of need to be, or to keep them moving along. We have some of the oldest traffic equipment in the area. A lot of our boxes are vintage 70s. A lot of our controllers are of the same era. We do have, so that we're all up on the speed, is that Stillwater and Hannaford, we have traffic cams at that intersection, so we have cameras for detection. It's the same with Dunkin' Donuts in the elementary school. We have traffic cams there for detection. And then for Stillwater Avenue and College Avenue, we have traffic cams for detection there. So the only intersection that you don't have detection at is going to be Bennett Road. After a tour of these intersections with John Sear, with John Rulo, and we went through some of the boxes, what we've learned is that a lot of them don't have an arc flash protection on them, which means if you open the doors to the boxes and it created a spark, it's pulling down wattage from the line and can create a fireball. So at this point, we've put out an email for none of our personnel to open the boxes to get in to reset anything or to touch anything, because they have to wear arc flash protection in order to get into those boxes. So we don't have that, so we're not going to do that. Now, with that being said, if we're looking to upgrade the intersections so that we can make traffic run more efficient and effective, I'm not saying it's going to solve all your traffic problems, because it probably is not going to solve them all. It's going to just help move along a little bit smoother and quicker for us. We're just overwhelmed with the amount of traffic that's coming through these intersections in this area now, currently. But for Stillwater Avenue and Hannaford, you would need a new cabinet, new controller. For Stillwater Avenue and Dunkin' Donuts, again, a new cabinet and new controller. Those two intersections are not synchronized. When I know that when I first started here, I gotten some complaints on how people were concerned that they're not synchronized. They should have been synchronized, and they're not. In order to synchronize those two intersections, it's a $20,000 cable that runs between the two intersections that you'd have to have installed to synchronize, so we're running on the same program. Stillwater Avenue and College would need a new cabinet, new controller. That's going to need an arc flash protection upgrade. The arc flash protection upgrade, again, on Stillwater and Hannaford is going to be needed. And then the Bennett Road intersection, you need everything. You need the new cabinet, new controller, new detection, arc flash upgrades. So I reached out to AD Electric, who had done, and I sent them this and said, what are we looking at for a cost? When they had last done this, so they've surveyed this before for us. The total cost was $139,500 to do what the upgrades are at these intersections. There's currently right now, so we're all aware of the bridge project that's going on in DOT, and the city manager and myself, Dave Russell and John Rulo, met in Orono with that project with Bax as well. And Bax is doing their own survey of that corridor. So from Bennett Road down to Stillwater and College Avenue, they're looking at the traffic flow, the patterns, the amount of volume. They're looking at it during peak hours, off-time hours. And they've come up with some areas of concern, but one of the areas of concern is that intersection of College and Stillwater Avenue. So they talked about, and they've not committed to this, so please don't think that they have, but one of the things that they discussed during the bridge project was a total overhaul of the intersection of College Avenue and Stillwater Avenue, and that would be a redesign of that intersection as well. So with that redesign would come new masts for your lights, new controller, new cameras, it would be a complete overhaul of that intersection. So that is a possibility. I'm not saying that that's what they're gonna do, but they have looked at that intersection, specifically during peak hours at 5 o'clock and traffic coming back into Old Town and people trying to make right-hand turns off from College Avenue, headed back up Stillwater Avenue towards the center of Old Town, and then traffic coming across. There's a huge pile up there that comes back. So that is an area of concern they're looking at. So that possibly, if we're looking at funding, could be an area that could be funded within the bridge project. Not saying it's gonna happen, but as a possibility, it could happen. The intersections of Stillwater and Hannaford and Dunkin' Donuts in Hannaford, we don't have anybody looking at those intersections to help us out with cost. And the Bennick Road intersection is part of that BACS study, but yet they weren't talking about throwing money at that like they were talking about redesigning an intersection at College and Stillwater. So the Bennick Road intersection, although it's probably going to be defined in the project as being substandard and that we're going to have to do something, I don't know that they're going to want to throw any money towards that intersection as well. So I guess what does this mean when it comes down to funding of this? So the MPI grant that John just applied for the roads is, there's an opportunity for us to apply for an MPI grant for the cost of these intersections as well, but it would only be up to 50%. So again, like the roads, they would kick in at 50%. Now, it's not 100% certain that you're going to get this grant if we apply for it. And that money is not available until 2019.
Oh, jeez.
So, again, it pushes.
2019.
2019. So again, it pushes us way out on fixing the area right now. I guess what my recommendation to you right now would be is to focus on your detection at the intersection of Bennick and Stillwater. Everything that John Sear has told us is if you put up new traffic cams for detection, we can still operate those under the existing box that we have and under the existing controller that we have. So if we're looking to try to alleviate some of that flow at that intersection, that would be the most immediate and quickest thing that you could do to improve the intersection and the traffic flow through the intersection. But again, it's not going to be a guarantee, and I'll explain again why. If we're trying to, this whole corridor is a problem. And when you look at the new lights that have gone in at the intersection of I-95 and Stillwater, they're having problems with those. And those are supposed to be synchronized with the lights by Dice Arts and down further, and those aren't synchronized either. And so now they're trying to get the contractor that put them in to kind of come back and finish up the job, or they're trying to get a better understanding as to what the job was that was supposed to be done. And so now you've got a problem with this. So I can tell you that we've done a couple things. Bax has put a camera up there at Stillwater and College Avenue and has taken a lot of photographs and has looked at that congestion during rush hour, and there is a problem. The other thing that we've done is that we tried to help the University of Maine out on one of their big football games with UNH. So we decided we're going to just try to control the intersection for them at Stillwater and College. It doesn't matter, because even if we can allow traffic to come off from College Avenue, it gets bottlenecked further up. So even if you were to put the lights on flash at Bennick Road to push people through that intersection even quicker, they're still getting tied up on the interstate on 95 on these lights. So the whole corridor right now is jammed. But if we were looking to do immediate, something that's going to try to help out with the flow of traffic through that area, it would be detection at Bennick and Stillwater, so that you can pick up the volume of cars coming.
How much is that just for the detection?
Off the top of my head, I apologize, I can get a 100% quote on that from AD Electric for you, but if I remember what John Sear was saying is $5,000 a camera. So, and he thought 3 cameras would cover that intersection.
So
So you're like 15 grand. And again, that's rough. That's a rough number from him.
Right.
The question I had, though, if we buy those cameras and get them, they can be used for the upgrade. They're not going to go to waste after we want to do more upgrades, right?
That is correct. If you invest in the camera today, whatever that cost is, that camera can be put into a new controller, can be put into new programming. Yes, it can.
Okay.
So it's not. So basically, we're taking. the old, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So you're putting up a new traffic cam, and then you could go to a new controller, and then you could go to a new programming box. So you could take the steps that you go at each intersection to kind of alleviate that 139,500 right out of the gate.
So you talked a little bit about the arc flash protection upgrade, and right now your guys aren't touching those boxes.
We're not.
Because they can get electrocuted as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, who does touch the boxes?
So who's touching the boxes right now are the guys from Bangor Electric that's what
We
they
have to have
do.
somebody from the hydro come up, Bangor Electric, so we have to pay somebody to come up and open those boxes and do something.
No, what we'd have to do is we'd have to pay somebody to install an arc flash protection on the box. I don't know what the quote on that would be. I could check with John Sear from Bangor Electric.
So right now, if we have a problem there, we can't just flip the lights, we have to have somebody from Bangor Electric.
That's correct. Yeah. And so you know, I mean, we're paying some money to maintain these because they're older. It's an older system. So, you know, the last couple of bills that we get from has been 3,000 because we had a whole assembly that was hit by something and turned. So they had to straighten that back out. When we get into violations sometimes when we don't have all of our lights working at intersections. So like your crosswalk lights, if you know, a little man doesn't light up, then we can be fined for that. So we have some bulbs that are changed and come and go out of that stuff. So there's been some routine maintenance to kind of keep them up and above water. We recently, if you've noticed, they've gone to flash quite a bit at Stillwater and Hannaford.
Right.
The problem is that the programming is so old there that they don't know exactly how to tweak to make it right. And there's no programming directions to make it right. So what they do is they go in and they just set the programming at different stages. And then once it goes to flash, we call them, and then they come up and they'll check that box and put it on a different stage for the programming. So each time they're going to come back, we're going to get a bill, but we don't know how to program it because we don't have any programming directions. There's no diagnostics. You can't run a diagnostics on that to tell you why it's not working. That's what they're telling me. That's a little bit above me.
Yeah, we're stuck calling them to come out.
But what we're doing is we're calling them to come up and fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
So so there's no one that would have that information that we could get to program them?
program?
Yeah, like the state doesn't have anything like, any information or?
No, and again, what I'm being told is just because of the age
'Cause it's so old.
of the program that it's not. Yeah.
So any additional funding is not till 2019.
That's about anywhere we're going to get it. I know that both John and I have called DOT, different people at DOT trying to scrounge up some money in it. There's nothing. I don't know that Bax will come up with a survey and Bax will tell you what you need to fix, but I don't think they're going to throw any money at us to fix the problem. We can ask for it once their survey is done. We can say to Rob Kennison, okay, you've told us that we need detection at Bennett Road. Okay, but are you going to fund the detection at Bennett Road? We can always ask the question if they're willing to do it.
I mean, you would think
Yeah.
that with this whole big issue, that they would look to fix the whole thing from the interstate
Yeah, all the way up.
to
You would think.
McDonald's or wherever that is. I mean, you would think somehow, even if we had to come up with half of it, you think they'd help out. So we could get, how many are there? There'd be that one. Is there 4 sets?
Yeah, I think
The
so.
4 sets of lights all the way to the interstate?
There's College Avenue,
Yeah.
Bennett Road, Dunkin' Donuts, Bell's IGA, Dice Arts, and then the new ones.
So
that-
5 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they don't sync the ones up at the interstate, it's futile.
I mean, they should, all 5 of those should be
It backs
synced
right
together.
Yeah, all of it backs up.
It's
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
It starts right, that's the bottom.
I know you've tried, you've called them and
They,
asked.
they kind of take the position that they'll install the lights and then it's your problem.
Right.
And, you know, we're trying every angle that we can with DOT, with Bax.
We tried the University of Maine.
Yeah.
Right.
They wanted to put in a remote access to that to put the lights on flash after major events or if they needed to evac. And when it was asked if they had the money to help with that, they didn't have the money. So
Well, that's what I was wondering, just between the University of Maine, the state, and us, if there was 3 of us that would take care of those 5 sets of lights to synchronize them.
And Arno further
And
down.
Arno for
And
that,
Arno.
Arno for
Right.
part of
Yeah,
that.
right.
That's right.
Part of that.
I mean, so 4 of us, you would think if the 4 of us could get together,
Those lights over the interstate.
By the interstate, yeah.
right.
you think if all 4 of us could jump in on this to get them all set.
There's no safety grants out there? I mean, this is a safety kind of issue.
You'd
It's-
have to show like, from, again, so bear with me for what I was told. So like at the Brunswick and Center Street where they
Yes.
put in those flashing lights. So that was deemed by the state to be a high crash area
Okay.
for accidents. So you'd have to look at
How many
what the
accidents?
crash rate is. My understanding is the crash rate has been looked at, and it doesn't warrant the fact that it would fall under a safety grant
Gotcha.
for those intersections.
So when the state did the road by Dunkin' Donuts, they didn't say that those cabinets and stuff were a huge safety issue. They continued on with what they were doing, right?
I don't know, 'cause I
I
wasn't
mean, they
here
didn't
when
change
they.
them, they
No.
Yeah.
put some detection out there and said it's close enough.
And
So
so
if
that
it's-
kind of falls back onto them saying, once we give you some lights, now the maintenance of
Their-
it,
their-
quote
their
unquote,
hours.
falls on the community.
I think they would have us talk to them so we could set it up so they synchronize or that they work correctly with the other ones. I'm still just wondering about, like I said, College Ave all the way to the interstate, if all the four entities got together on those 5 sets of lights,
Well, we're all meeting with them. I mean, they, you know,
We
when we
are.
have the meeting on the Stillwater Bridge,
they're all there.
that's, everybody's
there.
there.
And the-
DOT's there, Orno's there, we're
Can you
there,
bring
the
that up? Can you bring
university.
that discussion up to them? Ask them about if everybody jumped in and fix the 5 sets of lights? So they
That
all
was a
work?
major topic of discussion at the last meeting that we had, and that's when DOT on the bridge project, those engineers said that they were looking at the possibility of redoing the Stillwater College Avenue, and then they put up a big display and showed how traffic flows through that intersection. So that was a big topic of conversation. I know that there was just an email sending today or yesterday from Rob Kennison from Bax about the lights in Orono. And part of the problem with that, and it stated in the email, and don't quote me exactly, but was that once the lights are installed, it falls on to the municipality's responsibility to maintain and run them after that. Well,
But if they were installed the right way,
I guess that would be the argument is, can we go, and I don't know, as far as the Dunkin' Donuts and the Hannaford intersection, were we promised something we didn't receive when that project was done? And I don't know. I mean, that's something that we could look at, but
That was a question that was brought up about that
We
one.
brought it-
when I
didn't
was
it
on the
cost
Didn't
council.
they put in the
somebody-
wrong detection and we had to change it to cameras?
we had to
That's
pay
a
it
little-
ourselves.
yeah.
We had to pay it for ourselves.
But then you get to
They put
the,
the
you get to the
detection on the
boxes
ground.
and stuff, and I mean,
That's
they're
on
gonna
us.
say at that time,
Right.
they were working.
Right.
Even though, you know, I mean,
get
the
electrocuted
obvious
today.
answer to that is when you got a vintage 1974 box and that program in it, I mean, you're basically dealing with something that's DOS operated, you
Right.
might as well say, versus,
Traffic's a lot
you
different
know.
than
I like I said, I keep repeating, I was just hoping on those 5 sets of lights, if we could all get together, and if it's only gonna cost everybody 10,000 each, to synchronize them, all those 5 sets, not talking Dunkin' Donuts or Hannaford's,
Right, I
that's,
get
I
you.
think that's on us. I think, that's what I think is gonna happen, but the other ones, if somehow we could group together with everybody and get those fixed at least. So,
I can't make a motion, but I think my recommendation would be the same as yours, that we put 3 cameras out there and take care of that intersection for the time being until we figure out what we can do with the rest of it.
it's just, it's an investment into what you're looking at doing.
Right.
You're gonna be able to utilize those cameras, even if we change over the programming and the controllers and the box, you're still gonna be able to maintain and use those 3 cameras to take care of the intersection. Right now, you got nothing.
right,
The only thing you have is programming.
Right now, you can go out there and start traffic at Pine Haven Trailer Park, and it runs clear to the light at Benneck Road, and then it's clear after that. So if we could pick that up, and you're sitting at a light, and there's nobody coming on the other 2, there's just nobody there, but the still lights are red, so
Yeah.
that would certainly alleviate a certain percentage of that, without a doubt.
That's right, and you mentioned that, made me think of another thing. Another part of the problem that we're having with the vintage boxes is when when a bulb blows, it can blow certain sections of the intersection, but not necessarily all of it. Under new programming, what's supposed to happen is everything goes to flash, right? Well, in our case, that doesn't necessarily happen. You may have 1 or 2 legs of an intersection that go to flash, but the other leg of the intersection stays on a cycle timing, so it's showing a red, yellow, and a green stop when you have flash from other directions. So that was a concern from John Sear as well from Bangor, just stating that this,
We've got people getting a green light.
you got people getting a green light on a flashing light,
So
right?
they're coming through slowly and they're
Correct.
both thinking they have the right of way.
Right, and that can, that's what is gonna cause the accident.
Yeah.
And both people are gonna be right, because I had the green and I had the
Oh, yeah.
yellow, and
Oh, wow.
we're gonna have an issue, eventually. I mean, we're not gonna dodge that for,
When is the bridge project,
Gotta fix that.
I know they've talked about it long and hard, but what is the actual date that they're looking at to do
They're
that?
pushing now 2020, but,
It got pushed back, right, a little
yeah.
bit? It was like,
And they're even saying the 2020 is probably not realistic.
Yeah,
I
they
think
said
it
they're
needed
gonna be pushed
further out
again.
than that,
God.
from our last meeting we just had with them.
once they put that,
Gonna have a
once they did
rowboat
that
going
great
across
deck
the
repair
river.
out there, I figured that was the end of it for a while.
yeah.
So
They weren't gonna be back.
basically then we'd look to make a motion to move the one item for purchase so we could have new detection traffic cams at the Bennick Road. That would be the one we'd want to push to the next meeting.
Do you want me to get you a hard quote on that?
Yeah.
For that meeting?
I would say
Get you-
so,
say
please.
installed, up and running, what's it gonna cost us to have those done?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so it would be, so I guess I'll make a motion to push that one item to the next council meeting to install new detection traffic cams.
We have a second.
I'll
Second.
second. Okay, John.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Next item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Finance Committee will hear an update on legal fees associated with the mill sale transaction.
There's legal work that was conducted in developing purchase and sale agreement on warehouses and land transaction, review of title, surveys, licenses on the site. That would have been rolled into a closing, but obviously circumstances changed at the mill, and us and the folks who were involved in that before on purchasing warehouses and land and boilers aren't any longer in that deal. There's about $18,000 in legal costs associated with that and title work. Sewell Company, or the Sewell Group, has about $180,000 in costs wrapped up in that. And since the city was going to be the beneficiary of that, they've asked if we would consider picking up that $18,000 cost in legal.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to the council about this briefly before, so we're kind of updated what this is about. So we would just, I could just make a motion to send this to the full council for approval, and you would have everything all ready at the next meeting as far as an invoice from that company.
Yep.
Okay. I make a motion to move this item to the full council for approval.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I just have one little question. That would give us all legal rights to that information, though. It would
Yes.
become ours, now, correct?
I've requested that, and they've already said so. Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor? Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Fine job, fine job.
Got it done.
Okay. Thank you. Patty, just let me know when you're ready. I call the December 19th, 2016 special council meeting to order. Flag salute. Councilor Nuttall, please. Thank you. Roll call.
Silent roll call has been taken and a quorum is present.
Okay, thank you. Approval of the minutes. I believe Patty passed out a updated minute memo. She corrected a few things in that.
That was on the special organizational council meeting?
I found errors on that one as well as the one you found on the regular
Yeah.
meeting.
we also have one on the regular meeting. It's Xperia, not Amera.
Right.
And,
And I think you did that one, correct?
I've corrected.
You've corrected, yeah, you've corrected it since that. Okay, so I would look to have a motion to approve the minutes of the December 5th, 2016 organizational and regular meeting minutes, noting that we have made the corrections as necessary.
So move.
So Jan, is there a second? Stan, Jan and Stan. Discussion? All those in favor? None opposed. Petitions, communications, and citizens' requests. At this time, is there anyone in the audience that would like to discuss an item that is not on the agenda? If so, please come forward. Okay. Reports, Council President. I think Patty passed out our committee things tonight. I think our contacts and who's on what committees. Okay, standing committees. City councilors.
I'd just like to say I'm very, like to commend the Public Works for doing such a great job on the roads.
I wanted to say something. I wanted to thank the fire department and Public Works for cleaning up that spill that was in front of the Times office last week. I think it was a week ago tomorrow. It was awful.
What was it?
It was a spill. There was a hydraulic
fuel.
lift truck, and it was diesel, I'm pretty sure. It smelled terrible, and it was awful, and I didn't know what to do. I ended up calling the fire department, and they came right down, and then Public Works came down, and they did a good job. They really took care of it. And
What was it?
There was a roofing company that had a lift truck.
Okay.
Had a leak in the fuel tank, so it dumped about 6 gallons of diesel fuel out here. So it was headed to the storm drain, so they got it boomed off and picked
caught
up
it before it got there.
the smell was terrible. You could smell it all over town. You really could. I mean, people told me they smelled it going through town, and I had a meeting at the library, and I walked up there. It was awful.
They
Will
got it
they be
cleaned up.
fined? Will that company be fined?
I don't know.
It should be. It cost us to do it,
Right.
and
Well, that was so. That was the fire department and Public Works.
yeah, they did a great job.
Nice job. And Jan said the Public Works for the cleanup of the storm.
After the storm, yeah.
And who are we thanking as far as the windows, the painting?
Middle school
Middle
art
school.
classes.
They did a very good job.
Yes.
Very nice. Any other councilors? City attorney.
I came up to the mic just because I wanted to mention that the State Board of Property Tax Review is going to be meeting in early January to conduct the deliberations on the ex-para appeal of the mill valuation.
January.
And I wanted especially to mention that because I heard a couple of fairly large ticket items discussed at the earlier committee meetings. And just remind you that for both years, there's about $24 million of valuation at stake if you include both years. And so there's about $500,000 that if things go badly and all in ex-para's favor, that you could be looking at a large abatement. I frankly don't know which way it'll go. I think the evidence came in well for the city, but we just don't know at this point what the result will be. If the result is favorable to the city, based on the recent history of that case, I would anticipate that they will appeal to Superior Court and to the law court after that.
So this could go on for a while.
long
This could go on for a while.
Good.
You were just there last week, weren't you?
That was Juniper Ridge
Oh,
landfill.
Juniper Ridge. Okay. Wow.
Just wanted to update you on the status of that.
So I mean, this is could this go on for like another whole year and two?
If there are appeals, yes, a year or longer. It could be at Superior Court for up to a year on an ADC appeal.
Wow.
Unless they're really nice and pay it.
Sorry?
Unless they're really nice and pay us.
Well, they paid. They had to pay to
We'd be
pursue
giving the
the
money
appeal,
back. Right, that's right, to
but
give
the
the money back.
situation
Want
would
the
be
money
that the
back.
city would owe a large
Yep.
refund if there's a large abatement if they're successful.
Hmm. I guess I didn't realize it was could take that long. Thank you. I was hoping for better news, but thank you. Special committees. City manager.
Dave Russell and I are working on an application fee for the landfill hearing when it's here. It's basically intended to make the city whole for code enforcement review, preparation, notices of publications. Second part of that review fee is for the planning board, basically place an escrow for consultants and legal fees. So we'll be coming back to present that to you folks in January, just what our initial thoughts are on that. Mentioned the storm that happened. That was a bad storm. John had been here. Generally, 5 to 6 inch snowstorms, around $14,000 to clean up between salt, sand, labor. That storm, the one we just had, was about $22,500. It just
Wow.
lasted a long time. There was ice was terrible. I'd use a lot of salt on this past storm. So, and about the lights up there, the community connector, the bus that goes through, they're noticing the lights aren't working also, because we got some calls on that. They're calling back. So I mean, there's a lot of people concerned about how the lights are working up there. So hopefully,
Tell them to call the state.
yeah, well, hopefully we can get some traction with that.
Yeah.
We're certainly trying. So
Maybe we should give him that one guy's number there that Scott mentioned, the gentleman that from the state you guys been dealing with. Give him his cell phone number.
that's it for me.
Quick question. There's a staff holiday party that's this week.
Yes.
That's when is that?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yep.
Is that in place? I know at times we do a safety banquet. Is that still happening, or is this thing in place of that?
No, this is just for this.
Just for this
Building.
for this building. Okay, so there's still going to be a safety banquet.
At some point.
Okay.
It won't be what it's usually been in the past.
Okay. I just wanted to mark my calendar. That's all. If we knew when it was. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Moving on. Consent agenda. Public hearings. Old business. Moving on to new business. I will assign. We have 4 items. I'm just going to assign them as we go down the line. We'll start with Linda on number 1 and work our way around the table here. New business. The City Council will consider approval of a renewal application for a malt, Venice, and spirits liquor license and special amusement permit for the Boomhouse Restaurant. Council McLeod.
Resolve the Old Town City Council hereby approves a renewal application for a malt, spirituous, and vinous liquid license and a special amusement permit, no dancing, for Luke Duplessis and Matt Dookie doing business as the Boomhouse Restaurant at 170 Main Street.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Jan, discussion. I saw Dave come up. There he is.
Yeah, a lot of reasons. Dave Russell, Code Officer. It is a recommendation from Dave Daniel, Fire Inspector, and myself, that they do not receive their renewal. We were there on October 13th, and to this date, not one thing has been done.
Okay, so you guys have given them a list of items that needed to be taken care of, and nothing has been done.
Some of the items on the list from October 13th were from last year. Anything from leaking roofs to ceiling tiles missing throughout the restaurant. The electrical room and furnace room are filled with returnable bottles and kegs. The storage on top of items is extension cords used for permanent wiring.
I've seen the closets because I pick them up twice a week, so I've seen what it looks like when you walk through there. I can.
In conversations that I've had with both David and the city manager, if you so desire, give them a 1 o'clock date Friday, because this is going to push them. They're going to lose Christmas and New Year's, but at this point in time, life safety is more important to me.
So have you guys been in contact, I'm assuming, with Matt?
David Daniel has, yes.
David Daniels has, okay. So we haven't, as far as the city's concerned, we have not talked to him at all. It's been the fire, what's his title again? I'm sorry.
Fire inspector.
Fire inspector.
But that is the city.
Right, okay.
So you're saying we could say that they have to get it in order for approval, we could say noon on Friday.
And if not, then they just don't open their doors.
They can
It's a
open
fun.
as restaurant, but they can't open as a.
No.
Can't
No,
serve
they
alcohol.
can't open.
He's
They
saying
can't open,
at
period.
all.
Too many violence.
It's a fine line that David and I walk, and Chief knows this as well. We want to keep these businesses open, and we'll look at things, issues and think, okay, have this taken care of, and you're all set. And some of them are as much as changing a battery in an exit light. Simple. $25, slam the battery in, you're done. They don't do it.
Well, and I will say, even on my other life, what I do with the returnables, they were supposed to move them to another location, so they wouldn't be in the place, and that has not happened either. So I can tell you from that front that they have not done that either.
So that's my recommendation.
So do we have to amend the?
Well, I guess my question would be, we could, it's just saying,
Approve it pending.
prove it pending, that's what I was, get the word, approve it pending, that this would, you would be okay with it by 1 o'clock on Friday. What is the date?
That'd be the
23rd.
23rd.
Their license expires Thursday, the 22nd.
Or you could say end of business Thursday, the 22nd.
In the business, the 22nd. Would that be enough time, do you think, to do what they have to do? I mean, they know this was coming. I'm assuming they knew this was coming tonight to the council? or
They've known since October 13th
Okay.
that they have to do these
They
things.
got to do these things. Okay. So we could approve this pending that they complete this by the end of the business day on 12/22. So that's when the license is up. Does that sound okay?
So do we
About
have to
same
amend
with
the
no
motion, or do we
exceptions
just
in that.
have to-
I'm not going there at midnight on 12/22.
I said the end of the, I'm sorry, end of the business day, 5 p.m. 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Does that work?
Yep,
And we're saying the whole thing.
The whole
No
list.
the
exception.
list, right.
The list has to be completed by 4 o'clock on 12/22. And then
Well, they
would-
can't open on
they cannot open on
12/23.
12/23.
Right.
Okay? Are we all good with that? Do we have to amend it? Is that good enough? Can we just vote on that, Patty, or?
With the amendment? I think it should be
I
amended.
think you need to vote on the amendment.
Okay?
Right.
So if we could, so could I have a second on what I just recommended, or a motion at least, to move this to basically pending on the, they would have this
So moved.
completed? Thank you.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, so that was Linda and Stan, Jan, sorry.
You speaking for me?
You're cute and I am.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay, discussion. All those in favor on that?
This is the amendment, right?
This is the amendment. Now we're gonna vote on the motion as amended. Is there, all those in favor of that? Okay, 6-0. Thank you, Dave. So will somebody be contacting them tomorrow to let them know?
Yep.
Okay. The next item, the city council will consider granting an easement to Amira for utility line serving cell tower site off of the end of Penny Road. Councilor May.
Resolve, the Old Town City Council hereby approves granting an easement to Amera, Maine for utility purposes for serving the cell tower site off the end of Penny Road, and authorizes the city manager to execute said easement.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Linda, discussion?
What does that mean?
Is it Dave or Bill? Who is it, Dave?
I can do that. There's a utility line that runs up along the right-hand side of Penny Road, and it goes up to about midsection of KB Trucking. KB Trucking gets their power from there. There was, from that point on, a private line to the cell tower. They've added another carrier. You can't have two utilities on the same private line. So they're just looking to do an easement now to make that an Amera line all the way into the cell site.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? None opposed. 6-0. Okay, item number 3, the city council will consider approval of a special taste testing beer event permit for the Old Town Elks Lodge to be held February 4th, 2017 from noon until 5 p.m. Councilor Nuttall.
Resolve, the Old Town City Council hereby approves a special taste testing beer event permit for the Old Town Elks Lodge, 294th Street, to be held February 4th, 2017, from 12 noon till 5 p.m.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Jan, discussion?
Please.
All set?
We have another situation
Okay.
where this is a February date. my initial reaction was to rescind their approval from last approval, because
They did it last year, right?
Yeah.
They did this last year?
but they also have their annual, and
Current liquor license, which I think was in October. It was approved.
and they have done nothing. They have things that are dated back.
So they
in-
have a list also, is what you're saying?
They have a large list as well.
Okay.
I'm sure that this February 4th event is worth them correcting things, so I'd kind of back off on the rescinding of their approval altogether until, but I don't know that. Again, David and I try to work with these folks, and
So when is their official license up?
it was October, I believe.
I think it's,
So we already proved it for this next year already? And they still had a list then?
They had some, and we were guaranteed that that would be taken care of.
Gotcha.
And again, there's a fine line
Right.
between bullying and trying to work with an
Right,
establishment.
right. Yep.
But it's gotten to the point where some of these are just, they're not gonna do what we ask them to do.
So do you want to put a date on this one also, pending that they complete their list? Would you, I mean, I know this event's not, they already have their license,
Why
it
don't we
sounds
just
like. for
vote
the
no,
year.
when they got a chance to come
And then
back? They
that's
got
right,
3
they
months
do.
We got till
chance to come
February,
back.
right.
or table it till January 3rd.
Table,
Yep.
well, actually, even the 3rd, are they gonna be able to get things done the 3rd? Because I'm thinking the second meeting in January might be,
Well, they've still gotta have time to get their application into the state for this, so.
oh, it's true, okay.
if
And they
it's
need
January
your
3rd,
approval.
make 'em move a
Move
little
forward
quicker.
quicker, okay, all right.
We can just table this, get a motion to table this to the next meeting.
So moved,
Till the 3rd?
till the 3rd.
Okay.
Is that good?
It's fine with me.
Okay. And you'll let them know tomorrow?
Yep.
Complete what they need to complete?
No,
What?
No?
no,
Oh, they can't?
no.
That'd be a good question to ask.
They can't complete what they gotta do by January 3rd?
It's
By
not very
next-
long,
My next 2 weeks,
yeah.
maybe.
Well, and if they can't, then they come back and we table it to the next meeting.
That's
For the
right.
following meeting in January.
I said January 3rd. I'm thinking January 3rd's a week from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That gives them 2 weeks, and if
2
they, so if they can't, then we'll table it again. So we have a motion
Motion
to
to
do
table.
it, so can I get a second on that?
Second,
Okay, that's Carol. Discussion, all those in favor? None opposed?
And their license was approved on October 3rd.
Yes,
October
that's,
3rd.
that's what Dave said, yeah. Okay, moving on to the last item. We'll see if we can get through this one.
Yeah,
he's leaving.
let's see.
He's leaving, so we should be okay. Okay. The city council consider amending the council rules and procedures by replacing section 9, President Pro Temp Por, in its entirety to allow electing a vice president of the city council who shall serve as President Pro Tempore. Councilor Klitsch.
Resolved, the Old Town City Council hereby approves amending the council's rules and procedures by replacing section number 9, President Pro Tempore, in its entirety as presented in attachment number 1.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
The discussion, so I mentioned this at the last meeting,
Yep.
talked to somebody that I think this will help out, so if I'm not here, you guys won't have to elect, raise your hands, elect somebody to run the meeting, and I think this also sets the stage for anybody that is in this position going forward, gives them a chance to move into the chair position.
Is that going to
We
be a
decide to start doing it.
requirement?
No, it's not a requirement, I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Okay, so we're not electing anybody tonight. Well, this is just approving this for tonight. Then we'll do it at the next meeting if this passes. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Not opposed. Let's get ready for the next meeting. Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Come on.
Stan and then Jan. No discussion. All those in favor? Not opposed. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.